It's not been good economically. A lot of the change started to happen in the late 80s, I guess it was, when the coal mine closed.
The Northeast, Southeast, and Midwest regions of the United States are known for their bustling urban centers, large populations, and flourishing economies. Yet, nestled between these areas is a unique region called Appalachia. What sets this area apart is the absence of any major city, which is quite unexpected given its historical significance in shaping the United States. So, why is Appalachia so lightly populated? Although people do live there, you might expect the region to have at least one prominent city by now. Surprisingly, it doesn't. Despite its deep roots in American history, from coal mining to folk music, Appalachia remains largely rural and underdeveloped compared to its neighboring regions. This phenomenon raises the question, how did Appalachia become so isolated, and what factors have kept it from flourishing like other parts of the country? The answers lie in a complex mix of geography, economy, and history that has shaped the region into what it is today. Let's explore the reasons behind Appalachia's unique population dynamics and its ongoing struggle to grow. When thinking about the eastern half of the United States, common images that come to mind include long sandy beaches along the coast, winding rivers like the Ohio and Mississippi cutting through the landscape, and vast flat stretches of fertile farmland. However, there's a significant portion of the East that defies this image, Appalachia. This area is primarily characterized by its rugged terrain, dominated by the Appalachian Mountains and their foothills. Stretching over 2,000 miles, these mountains extend from Canada's eastern boundary through the Northeast and into states such as West Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, the Carolinas, Georgia, and northern Alabama. The Appalachian Range is more than just a geographical feature. It's a defining aspect of the landscape, culture, and history of the eastern United States. Historically, these mountains presented one of the earliest and most formidable barriers to westward expansion in the U.S., shaping the patterns of settlement and trade for centuries. Unlike the towering peaks of the Rocky Mountains, the Appalachians are more modest in height. However, their intricate geography compensates for their lower elevation. Steep ridges, deep valleys, and narrow hollows characterize this range, creating a complex and dynamic terrain. The reason for their smaller size compared to the Rockies lies in their age. The Appalachians are far older, having formed approximately 250 million years ago during the late Paleozoic era, when the North American and African tectonic plates collided. In comparison, the Rockies are relatively young, having formed only 55 to 80 million years ago. To put this in perspective, if these ranges were individuals, the Appalachians would be like a wise elder with a wealth of experience, while the Rockies would still be in their energetic youth. Over millions of years, natural forces such as wind, rain, and ice have worn down the Appalachians, transforming their once jagged peaks into the rounded forest-covered ridges we see today. This process of erosion has created distinctive features across the range, such as the Great Smoky Mountains in the south and the Allegheny Mountains in the north. These regions are not only scenic but also hold cultural and historical significance for the people who have lived in their shadow. The Appalachians also play a critical role in shaping the region's climate. Their elevation affects weather patterns, creating microclimates across the range. Higher altitudes are cooler and wetter, which supports dense forests of deciduous and coniferous trees. In contrast, the lower valleys and plateaus experience milder, warmer conditions. This variation in climate contributes to the region's ecological richness, making it a globally recognized biodiversity hotspot. The Appalachians are home to an extraordinary array of plants and animals, including salamanders, migratory birds, and rare flora. The diversity of species in this region rivals that of tropical rainforests, highlighting its ecological importance. Waterways in the Appalachian region have been deeply influenced by the mountains. Rivers such as the Ohio and its tributaries, the Kanawha, Tennessee, and Cumberland rivers, have carved striking valleys and gorges over thousands of years. One of the most iconic examples is the New River Gorge in West Virginia. This area, known for its dramatic cliffs and outdoor recreation opportunities, was designated a national park on December 27, 2020, reflecting its natural and cultural significance. Another fascinating feature of the Appalachian region is its karst topography, which is shaped by the erosion of limestone bedrock. This process has created a landscape marked by caves, sinkholes, and underground streams. Among the most remarkable examples is Mammoth Cave in Kentucky, the world's longest cave system. This underground wonder attracts researchers and visitors alike, offering insights into geology and ecosystems hidden beneath the surface. Despite its challenging geography, Appalachia has long been a land of opportunity. Early settlers found a wealth of natural resources, including timber and fresh water, which were essential for survival and growth. During the Industrial Revolution, the region's abundant coal and iron ore reserves became invaluable. These resources powered America's economic growth in the 19th century, fueling industries such as steelmaking and railroads. The demand for these materials attracted settlers eager to profit from the region's riches, leading to the development of mining towns and industrial hubs. The historical importance of Appalachia extends beyond its resources. Before European settlers arrived, the region was home to indigenous peoples who recognized its value. Much of what we now know as Appalachia was once under the control of a large chiefdom known as the Coosa, which flourished from around 1400 to the 1600s. These indigenous communities developed sophisticated societies that utilized the region's abundant natural resources and navigated its challenging terrain with skill. Today, Appalachia retains its distinct identity. While it may lack the glamour of other parts of the United States, its significance cannot be overstated. The region's history, culture, and natural beauty continue to attract visitors and inspire appreciation. From the rolling hills of West Virginia to the majestic peaks of the Great Smoky Mountains, the Appalachians remain a symbol of resilience and timeless beauty. The forests, rivers, and wildlife that thrive here stand as a testament to the power of nature to shape both landscapes and lives. In many ways, the Appalachian Mountains serve as a bridge between the past and the present. Their ancient origins remind us of the Earth's dynamic history, while their role in shaping American culture and industry underscores their enduring relevance. As a biodiversity hotspot, a historical landmark, and a natural treasure, Appalachia holds a special place in the story of the United States. For those who explore its winding trails, rushing streams, and quiet hollows, it offers not only breathtaking scenery but also a deep connection to the land and its history. Spanish explorers, including Hernando de Soto, made significant visits to the Coosa region in the 16th century, where they estimated the population at approximately 50,000 people. This figure is remarkable, especially when compared to Europe during the same period. For instance, the population around Madrid, Spain, reached only 60,000 by 1598. The Coosa's territory was vast, but even by these standards, its population was impressive for the time. This suggests that the indigenous societies in the region were well established, thriving, and complex, with strong communities, trading networks, and a deep connection to the land. When European colonization began in the 1700s, the dynamics in the Appalachian region changed drastically. English, Scots-Irish, and German immigrants were among the first settlers to venture into the Appalachian Mountains. These newcomers were drawn by the promise of land and resources, hoping to build a new life in a relatively unexplored part of the world. However, the settlers quickly realized that the region's isolation presented both challenges and opportunities. They adapted by becoming self-sufficient, relying on subsistence farming, hunting, and small-scale trade to support their families. The Appalachian settlers developed a unique culture that combined European traditions with the resilience needed to survive in an often harsh and isolated environment. This culture was marked by independence, resourcefulness, and a strong sense of community. Over time, the region became known for its distinct identity, characterized by a blend of European influence and frontier survivalism. This cultural fusion played a central role in shaping the region's history and continues to define Appalachia to this day. However, the arrival of European settlers brought inevitable conflict with the indigenous tribes who had lived in the region for centuries. Over time, competition for land and resources escalated, leading to violence and tension between the settlers and the native peoples. One of the most tragic outcomes of this was the forced removal of the Cherokee people in the 1830s, an event known as the Trail of Tears. Thousands of Cherokee were forcibly uprooted from their ancestral lands in the southern Appalachians and made to march westward to what is now Oklahoma. This forced relocation resulted in immense suffering and loss of life, and represents one of the darkest chapters in both U.S. and Appalachian history. Despite these challenges, the 19th century also brought profound change to the Appalachian region, particularly with the onset of the Industrial Revolution. The discovery of vast coal deposits in the Appalachian Mountains changed the economic landscape of the region, sparking a mining boom that brought new industries, wealth, and people to the area. Coal mining companies, many of which were owned by outside investors, began extracting coal at an unprecedented rate, transforming the mountains and the people who lived there. The rise of the coal industry also led to the creation of mining towns, attracting workers from not only within the U.S. but also from other countries. The construction of railroads to transport coal to industrial cities further integrated Appalachia into the larger national economy, turning previously isolated communities into bustling centers of activity. The region was now a key player in supplying energy for the Industrial Revolution, and coal became the backbone of its economy. However, the economic prosperity brought about by coal mining was not shared equally among the region's residents. Miners, particularly in places like West Virginia, Kentucky, and Tennessee, often faced brutal working conditions, long hours, and extremely low wages. The coal companies, which profited immensely from the labor of these workers, frequently exploited them. Labor disputes became a regular feature of life in these mining towns, and tensions between miners and coal companies often erupted into violence. One of the most significant events in the history of Appalachian labor struggles was the Battle of Blair Mountain in 1921. This event remains one of the largest armed uprisings in U.S. history, as thousands of miners, backed by Union support, took on the coal companies and their private militias in a fierce battle over workers' rights and conditions. The conflict eventually resulted in a major shift in labor law and union protections, making Appalachia a critical region in the advancement of workers' rights in the United States. However, as with many resource-driven economies, the coal industry in Appalachia eventually began to decline. The demand for coal diminished as new energy sources emerged, and technological advancements like mechanization reduced the need for manual labor. This led to widespread unemployment and economic hardship across the region. Many young people faced with limited job prospects left Appalachia in search of better opportunities elsewhere, often moving to industrial cities or southern states like California, Texas, and Florida. This outmigration of the younger population left the region with an aging and shrinking population. The collapse of the coal industry also had devastating environmental consequences. The once beautiful Appalachian Mountains now bear visible scars from strip mining, mountaintop removal, and the resulting water pollution. The destruction of the landscape had long-lasting impacts on local ecosystems, wildlife, and communities. Entire regions that had once thrived off the natural beauty and resources of the land were left struggling with the environmental fallout. In response to these challenges, efforts have been made to diversify the Appalachian economy in recent years. There has been a concerted push to focus on tourism, outdoor recreation, and environmental conservation. National parks and protected areas like the Great Smoky Mountains National Park and the Appalachian Trail have become central to the region's identity. These initiatives have helped highlight the natural beauty of Appalachia and have become vital for the region's economy, drawing tourists from across the country and the world. Despite the hardships and challenges that Appalachia has faced, the region has remained resilient. Its rich cultural heritage, deeply rooted in both European traditions and indigenous influences, continues to shape the region's identity. The legacy of struggle, from labor disputes to the forced relocation of indigenous peoples, has also played a role in shaping the region's spirit of independence and resistance. Today, Appalachia stands as a testament to the endurance of its people and their connection to the land, even as they continue to adapt to the changing tides of history. Additionally, Appalachia's cultural legacy remains one of the most notable influences in the United States today. With its rich history and scenic landscapes, one might expect the region to be more heavily populated. So, why does it have relatively few inhabitants compared to surrounding areas? As is often the case in population geography, the answer lies in a combination of geographic and historical factors. Appalachia encompasses all of West Virginia, much of Western Virginia and North Carolina, large portions of eastern Kentucky and Tennessee, significant parts of northern Alabama and Georgia, and smaller sections of Maryland and South Carolina. Despite covering this vast area, the population is only about 13 million. While this number isn't insignificant, it does seem low given the region's prominence within the United States. The sparse population can largely be attributed to Appalachia's rugged terrain. The Appalachian Mountains, which dominate the region, are ancient and challenging to navigate or develop. Their steep slopes, narrow valleys, and dense forests made large-scale agriculture and urbanization difficult for early settlers. These natural barriers have continued to hinder infrastructure development into the modern age. Consequently, much of Appalachia remains remote, with small, scattered communities rather than large urban centers. Without a compelling reason to establish major cities in the middle of mountainous terrain, people generally avoid such areas. However, geography alone does not explain the region's limited population. Its economic history has also played a pivotal role. The coal discovery in the 19th century brought economic growth to parts of Appalachia, but it also created a heavy reliance on a single industry. Coal mining was once a key employer, but automation and a shift away from coal as an energy source devastated local economies. As mines shut down and jobs disappeared, residents were often forced to leave the area. Appalachia serves as a cautionary example of the risks associated with overdependence on a single industry. When the coal industry faltered, the region lacked alternative sources of economic stability. This raises the question, why didn't Appalachia diversify its industries during its economic peak? The issue is somewhat unique to the region. The wealth generated by Appalachia's coal mines largely flowed to external mine owners, corporate interests, and industrial centers in other parts of the country, rather than being reinvested locally. As a result, infrastructure and public services in Appalachia, such as schools, healthcare, and transportation, were significantly underdeveloped. This lack of investment made the region less appealing for people to remain or move to. It turns out that factors like quality schools and accessible healthcare facilities play a crucial role for families and individuals searching for a place to settle. All of this contributes to Appalachia being relatively isolated, despite its central and significant location in the eastern United States. Residents in the region often have to travel considerable distances to reach basic services, jobs, and educational opportunities. In a world that is becoming increasingly urbanized, where closeness to economic centers, technology, and infrastructure is vital, this isolation has made it even harder for the area to retain and attract people. Limited access to the internet, for instance, has deepened this disconnection, especially as remote work and online connectivity grow more critical in today's economy. According to the latest census, many counties in Appalachia rank among the most disconnected in the nation, even more so than numerous counties located in the Rocky Mountains. In essence, the region's challenges began with its difficult geography. Later, when it finally experienced industrial growth and a population increase, much of the wealth generated there was diverted to other parts of the country. This left behind a region with relatively less infrastructure compared to its neighboring areas. Currently, about 13 million people live in Appalachia. While that's not a small number, it's noticeably lower than one might expect given its prime location in the bustling eastern half of the United States. That being said, the region does include a few notable metropolitan areas. Birmingham, Alabama boasts a population of approximately 1.1 million, while Knoxville and Chattanooga, Tennessee have populations of 900,000 and 574,000 respectively. Asheville, North Carolina is home to around 417,000 people, and Charleston, West Virginia has a population of about 255,000. Nearly 200,000 West Virginians reside in the Huntington-Ashland metropolitan area in the state's western region. Appalachia is far from empty, but it stands out as a part of the United States that, despite its relatively small population, holds a significant cultural influence on the country as a whole. Appalachia's story is one of resilience, beauty, and challenges. Its rugged landscape and cultural legacy continue to captivate, even as its population remains modest. Despite all that it offers, it's clear that this region's history and geography have kept it from becoming a bustling metropolis. If you're curious about more hidden gems of the United States, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, share your thoughts on Appalachia in the comments, and let's keep exploring together.